Hi.
Well, good evening, Glue Troopers, and welcome back to, say it with me, the TARDIS. Da-da-da. I am going to show you some footage I shot just not that long ago, probably within the last hour, and I've actually changed something I was doing from then to now. I shot some footage of me actually working on the tank, trying to keep the channel fresh, and I'd said that I was going to pre-paint all the parts that were going to go on the upper hull before I put them on to make life easier. Once I started realizing how long some of these parts were, like the skirts and everything over the road wheels, I was like, yeah, with all that paint on there, that could make getting a good bond a bit of a trick. So although the main upper hull part's already painted, I'm going to go ahead and put the parts on without paint and then shoot them. It won't be that hard. So I realize I can get into the little nooks and crannies. Now, things like the ammo boxes and stuff, for the storage boxes, those I'll build separately, paint separately, but they just literally lay on top of the fender. I'm not worried about that. But some of these other parts are under a hint of tension. So without further ado, let me go and show you what I did earlier today. So enjoy, and I'll be here waiting on you. Hey guys, welcome back to the workbench. Trying to keep this channel from getting too staid, so change things up a little bit, occasional cuts or different camera angles, film different parts of the TARDIS. There are probably some big changes coming down the road in a couple of months. I'll keep you guys apprised if that comes to fruition. But so anyway, we're here at the workbench, and I've got the tracks on the tank and I've got the engine compartment done. Now, fortunately, before I got too far into the weeds with this, I took 5 minutes to run out on the interweb and get some pictures of a Pershing tank engine and compartment, and I was surprised how much white there was in there. And then I remembered, oh yeah, a lot of armored vehicles from many nations paint the interiors white, just help with illumination, helps to spot where grease may be, or oil may be leaking or something. And I didn't really need to weather it that much. You're only going to need 4 colors. You're going to need a rust for the exhaust pipes, the same olive drab, because the Army, at least the American Army, frequently paints its engines the same color as the vehicle. At least they did back then. My Jeep had a olive drab painted engine, which is common. It makes them really easy to paint. Of course, the white interior for a little illumination. They don't do that on the Jeep. They only do that on to my knowledge, on the armored vehicles. Probably the same reason aircraft like Spitfires and Messerschmitts and a lot of them have the white painted interior. Now, I've seen some Mustangs that had just aluminum on the inside, but these airplanes were beautiful rebuilds that were better than condition they ever were in the military. And since they're not operating out in the field and they get such first class care, they don't really need that. They're kept immaculately clean all the time. Seems like part of it was chromate and part of it was white. There may not have been a uniform pattern. Might have been something crew chiefs did. Huh. That could be an interesting little thing to research. I'm not quite sure how you would look up something so specific. But the airliners I fly, the landing gears are white, and the wheel wells, well, they were probably white at one point. But actually, our wheel wells, we don't have a traditional well that's dedicated area like some aircraft do. Our wheels retract into the center fairing, and we have gear doors over the landing gear, but the wheel itself, the 737 the same way, by the way, the wheel itself folds up into the fairing right in the middle of the fuselage, and it has brushes around it that work as an aerodynamic gap that the wheels can drop in and out of it. It's actually not that uncommon a system. It saves you putting on a gear door aerodynamically. I don't think it makes hardly any difference at all, so why add weight and complexity to the airplane? But a lot of the older airliners had a full set of gear doors, and gears are white up right in the, it's one of those things you look at all the time and they're really paying attention to. You're just looking to see if there's any fluid leaks. But I believe where the landing gear itself goes is white, but where the actual wheel mechanism goes up is wait a minute, I took delivery of a new one. It was white, but they get grimy so fast and never get washed that they're actually kind of a dark gray. In fact, sometimes you'll see notes written in one of the rampers, or somebody will, wet their finger, and in the grime they'll make a smiley face or whatever, or maybe something not so smiley. But it's funny. It was painted white at the factory, and that's the last time it was ever white, unless somebody gets in and pressure washes this thing. And that can throw you when you're looking at old photographs trying to figure out what color. Like, well, the instruction sheet says this wheel well and this landing gear is supposed to be white, but all the pictures that look silver are gray. That's just grit and grime, my friend. Again, one of the beauties of working on a tank. These screens across the top, there are only 2 photo etch metal parts. Very nice, thick, good quality. They clipped out with using little God's hands snippers. Actually, I think I might have used these Tamiya snippers. But they came out clean. They didn't deform or anything. They glued into place without any problem. Of course, I glued them to the raw plastic with CA glue before I painted anything, because by pre-painting some stuff I'd caused, as we talked about earlier, some problems with the glue having to burn through the paint to bond. Of course, it slows down the dry time. But they look fine. It didn't cause any problems. It's actually gone together without any serious argument. The instruction sheet could probably use a little bit more detail in some of the pictures, but experienced modeler is going to figure it out. And the only thing is, I didn't, unless I just missed it, I didn't see a color code on how the inside was supposed to be painted, which is why I got the pictures. And of course, you can pose this with the, it's got, where to put it? Here it is. I went ahead and pre-painted the, because it comes with a gray plastic, I went ahead and pre-painted the top part of the hull, and you can see you're going to have, hello! You're going to have the ability to open up where you can see the engine. Let's take a quick look at that. That should go about there. Oh yeah. Oh, here, let me get a picture of that real quick. The track, the mating part, is on the top of each track, where of course it'll be pretty much hidden from view. We have the side plate that goes there. I'm going to pre-paint all of the part components, the large components, where I put them on, because this actually has, in fact, let me get right here, set it aside for just this. It has these little parts of the armor that, you know what, let me turn this around where you can actually see what it does. It might be better if I just set it down here. Okay. And this piece goes right here. It's got a couple of little notches for it. It's a little hard for me to articulate with my fingers, but there we go. But it has a gap, a void area on the top here, and I guess obviously they couldn't press it out that way. In fact, I'll take a quick picture of that so I can overlay it. But so these parts are all going to be pre-painted, and then once they're glued in place, I'll give them a little touch-up of the paint. But that's shows the kind of level of detail. Every one of these side, the Pershing has those. It's got the storage baskets that go on top, and it's got the angular metal plates that go between each one of them, and that's going to put this back in its safe place. So that's going to result in a very detailed tank. But now you could glue everything together first, go with an airbrush or go in with a paintbrush, but I think it's a little easier to pre-paint them, glue them, and then just put a light coat over to cover up any touch of glue or something like that, or whatever, blend it. That way you're not struggling. Oh, now that you've put that part in there, and oh, I can't get to that. I can see it, but I can't get in there to get the paint in without globbing a bunch in there and making it look nasty. So that's what I'm trying to do, be a little more delicate with it. So, also, as you saw at the beginning of the video, I went to Hurricane Hobbies earlier today. Ian had seen the previous video where I had to get more, and he had it was ready to go. And I was gonna shoot some video while I was there, but he had a lot of customers. But he did show me these new things that are coming in. These are basically wood and paper, and they're not exactly models, but they are kits, and some of them have lights and everything in them, and you put them on your bookcase or whatever. They're all kinds of stuff from this company, and Robotech, and they're flying off the shelves. They're extremely popular, and that's something my wife might like. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Also, just real quick, a Hurricane Hobbies update. He's trying to get up with Hornby and maybe get some Airfix stuff in there, and possibly even Stevens International. So I hope he can get hooked up with that and get some more stuff. He's actually kind of run out of cars, but he's supposed to have more in a couple of days. So good job, Ian. And let's see, what else have we got? I think that was...
I forgot to mention that Ian also has some of this electrical, like LEDs and equipment like that, the kind of stuff we used to use for lighting our models, the stuff you used to get at Radio Shack. And he's carrying some of that now, so he can handle a few of your electrical needs as well, in addition to RC stuff. Cool.
Is there something else? I haven't gotten started on the Godzilla. It's weird in a way. I come out here and I find that I work for a couple of hours and really, get a lot done. And then I'll take a break and come out and do a little more. And I'll work on this some more after we're done. Maybe I'll take some pictures for the outro. But I work not any specific amount of time, but it's like the modeling bug hits. I start working. But at a certain point, I don't want to do this anymore today. Time to make the video. And I guess we're all that way to an extent. There's one last thing. I wanted the olive drab to match, and according to what I found online, the spray paint colors and the little paintbrush jars don't share the same number. And the olive drab that was recommended for the Pershing was the XF62 Tamiya olive drab. And I found an online chart that had some colors, and it said that AS6, which is USAF, United States Army Air Force olive drab, was the match for that. And so far I can't tell the difference between them, so I think that may be right. I would have thought Tamiya would have kept the same number for each one, for the simple purpose of aligning the colors, but they don't. And oh well, so one more thing and all. Okay, well that's what I have for tonight, guys. Take care of yourselves. Talk to you later. And as always, model on.
Well, welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed that. So I'm going to let everything harden overnight. The tracks, I bonded them and then put them on. Didn't really have any problems with that. And I used Gorilla Glue, and they have 6 little pins on each track. So it seemed to be sufficient. I put it under clamps and let it go for a few hours. And so far, so good. I'm sure resin or metal link tracks would look better, but then again, these are going to look fine for what I'm doing. And it's coming out good so far. I think I mentioned this earlier, you work for a couple hours and you take a break, come back a little more, and then you kind of, mojo's gone for the day. Some days you build all day and can't do enough, and other days, you're kind of like, the muse has got to strike. So I haven't even started on the Godzilla, which I think I mentioned earlier. And that's where we're at for tonight. Well, guys, I hope you're having a pleasant evening. Take care of yourselves. And as always, model on.
That looks great. Contrary to what I said yesterday, I'm almost kind of wishing it had a little interior detail. No, don't. Stop, Max. Stop. Anyway, let me get a picture. You know what? Let me use the flash. I'm going to do a little trickery here. This will probably be in the outtake section. Half the time, that's the best part of my videos.
Ian was waiting for me. I walked through the door at Hurricane Hobbies, and he goes, "Up, get the olive drab."
Hit the button, Max. There you go. See Max putting stuff down. I'm losing track of it.